talking about the work that you are doing and specifically at mTOR. And for our audience, which might not be as educated about mTOR as us, I would love to start with the beginning and the explanation. What is mTOR and why, in your opinion, it regulates aging?
Sure. So mTOR is an evolutionarily conserved protein. It's in a yeast, it's in a fly, it's in a worm, it's in a mouse. It's in all these species, and it regulates how our bodies respond to nutrients. When you eat, it gets turned on, and when you fast, it gets turned off. And it's turning out not only is it present in all these organisms, but it regulates longevity in all these organisms. So whether you inhibit this single protein, either genetically or with one drug called rapamycin, lifespan is extended. Yeast, worms, flies, mice. So its regulation of longevity is evolutionarily conserved. And that is really important because it suggests humans haven't diverged that much from these other species to think that mTOR isn't also going to regulate human longevity. And it's really exciting because it is probably the best validated mechanism regulating lifespan. There are so many labs that have shown, again, whether genetically or with a single therapeutic called rapamycin, everybody repeats this finding that lifespan is extended. And not only is lifespan extended, but these organisms live healthier longer. So it's a big opportunity for modern medicine to figure out how can we use mTOR inhibitors to help extend human lifespan.
So, John, one point that is a very important point that you said is that it's repeatedly different labs doing it in a few different model organisms. I want the audience to understand, is there any other molecule or a protein that is doing the same of mTOR, or mTOR is really unique?
I think what's unique about mTOR is the body of evidence. It's enormous. For other things, there's some species, there's some data, some labs, there's some data, but it's a little bumpy, whether, in every lab can show a particular therapeutic can extend lifespan, or it works in some species, but not other species. It's the consistent effect of mTOR inhibition, genetic, and again, this one drug, rapamycin, has this remarkable effect in every species. There isn't any one drug with that data set yet. It doesn't mean there won't be, but for now, the best validated therapeutic and target is mTOR.
Excellent. And you spoke a bit about rapamycin. So can you give again to our audience what is rapamycin? What is the history? I think that the history of how it was identified is very exciting. And how do you think rapamycin regulate mTOR?
Sure. So rapamycin was found in the soil on Easter Island. So it's a natural product in the soil. And it was originally discovered because it inhibited fungal replication. So it was originally developed as an antifungal, but they found out that not only did it inhibit fungal replication, it inhibited T cells, which are a critical immune cell, the replication of T cells. And then it sort of turned out to be better at inhibiting the replication of T cells than the replication of fungus. So it was developed as an immunosuppressive agent for transplant patients because you need T cells to reject your transplanted organ. And if you inhibit those T cells, you won't reject the organ. And then it turns out it also inhibits the cancer proliferation of cancer cells. So derivatives of rapamycin have been approved for cancer treatment. And why does it inhibit the proliferation of all of these cell types? Well, it's because mTOR, the protein that rapamycin inhibits, is what you need to produce proteins and lipids, and you need it for cells to grow and divide. So when you eat, This is the protein that's activated, and then it makes the building blocks so that T cells can proliferate, cancer cells, fungus, all these cells can proliferate. So then the question is, what does any of this have to do with aging? Well, so when you eat, mTOR is turned on. When you fast, mTOR is inhibited. And when mTOR is inhibited, cells aren't making building blocks to grow. And instead, protective pathways are upregulated that are very good for us as we age. So things like autophagy. This is a process where you get rid of garbage in cells. That's upregulated when mTOR is inhibited. And so part of the benefits of intermittent fasting, which Ashley probably knows has some benefits, health benefits, is because mTOR is getting inhibited. So one of the reasons mTOR inhibition is good for aging is because you get protective pathways upregulated when you inhibit it. But the other thing that happens with age is that mTOR gets dysregulated and it gets hyperactive in certain tissues in both mice and humans. And it stops responding to fasting. It just stays on all the time. So it may be as people get older, and this has been true in older mice, they don't turn down mTOR anymore when they fast. There's no time of the day where you're getting these protective pathways upregulated. And that's why giving an mTOR inhibitor like rapamycin may have benefit, because you're turning that hyperactive mTOR down to a younger level.
Excellent. And you discussed mice,